I'm Matt Bergman, and you are listening to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 306. I'm here tonight with Jared Schneiderman.
What up, guys?
Kyle Wagner.
Hey, everybody.
Dan Albright.
How's it going?
And Mike Shipley.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks for coming on tonight, guys. This should be a fun show, man. So number one is like, wow, there was like a lot of deaths this week recently. We had John Lewis, right?
Yep.
And then we also had Herman Cain, 999. He died of the COVID, right?
Yep.
So I don't know.
Well, you forgot about Wilford Brimley, dude.
Well, yeah, Wilford Brimley. Wilford Brimley, I find especially weird because did you know he was only 85, which makes no sense because he was like 75 in 1985.
What?
I mean, aren't you shocked to learn that Wilford Brimley was only 85? I mean, he was in Cocoon in like the early 80s.
Okay.
Good point.
Yeah, it's just like he just always looked really old for his age.
Well,
like Patrick
It
Stewart.
was interesting that he wasn't older than he was. I don't.
Huh.
Rest in Beatus.
Yeah, Beatus finally got him.
Yeah. So about these deaths, guys.
Yeah, I think
So-
Herman.
Well, okay, so the most interesting one to me is this Herman Cain death, where he actually died from the Rona. And he had been a pretty staunch opposition of the various mask mandates and
Didn't
things
he
like
also
that.
have stage 4 cancer?
I heard. Well, it was in remission, so technically no, but technically yes, I guess.
I mean, you still have a pretty demolished immune system after that.
Yeah.
At that point,
Yeah, I mean, certainly he wasn't like 100% healthy. So he would definitely be more likely to catch the Rona, or not catch the Rona, but to get killed by the Rona.
He was a crazy candidate. It was like this guy's running as a Republican, but he looks like a pimp or something like that. You know what I mean? Like just did not fit the
What?
mold of a Republican at all.
What do you mean? He looks like a pimp.
I
Are
think
you
he
being
was- I
racist
think
now,
he
dude?
No, I
That's
think
racist,
he actually.
Kyle.
I think he actually was a pimp. It seemed like
Kyle,
he
that's
was.
racist. No,
He was
sold
he was a CEO
sold
of
pizza.
Godfather
he sold
Pizza.
pizzas.
All right.
So he had a tweet on July 1st, and this is like, well, I guess that would have been like a few weeks before he died, but it said masks will not be mandatory for the event, which will be attended by President Trump. People are fed up. And this was in regards to the Trump rally that he went to. I think it was in, where the fuck was it? Near Mount Rushmore, I guess, South Dakota. So yeah, interesting.
That's a weird place for a rally. I wouldn't think there'd be a whole lot of people there, but I don't know. Maybe
Well-
South Dakota is more populated than I realize.
no, I think the thing with that is that there was a thing about if we're tearing down all the statues, then like the final boss would be Mount Rushmore because it's, built on sacred native land and all of that. So of course, Donald Trump was like, I'm going to do a rally there.
Right.
Mm.
People went out there to like demonstrate that we stand for Mount Rushmore. COVID.
Dude, what is the final boss of tearing down monuments? You got the Washington Monument in DC. That's a big one, right?
I'd say the White House is probably the final boss. Final boss. I mean, let's be clear.
Maybe for anarchists. I don't know, but yeah. All right.
But it was definitely interesting because there was a lot of the left really bashing Herman Cain or post-mortem and saying that, like, look, this is kind of what you get style
Yeah.
for being anti-mask mandation, which missing the fucking point. But I
Well,
digress.
they got a little bit of a point there. I mean, a little bit.
I mean, yeah.
It's not tasteful, right? You're dancing on someone's grave or whatever, but yeah, there's a little bit of a point there. We live in Maryland. Everybody here is All the stores have mask mandates, and I don't see the resistance in Maryland that I'm seeing online from other people. Other people seem to be very defiant, and they almost take pleasure in being like, I don't need a mask. And I'm like, it's really for your own good and for those around you, but okay, you know. I wear them.
I wasn't there a story though about, I think this happened in Maryland, where some guy went into a cigar store and they asked him to wear a mask and he refused. And like basically I think what happened was he refused and got mad and then grabbed a bunch of cigars and like stormed out of the place without paying. The owner like chased him down the street, and I guess the guy had a gun or something and turned around and like shot at the owner.
Wow.
And gets in his car and goes on a police. Oh no, this wasn't in Maryland. Sorry, this was in PA. Now I'm remembering. But anyways, he got in his car, sped away, and the police called up to him, and then he shot it out with the police. And now he's and they shot him. He didn't die, but he's fucked now.
Oh, that's wild. I had seen another video that was going around where a dude was like losing his mind because the guy, and I don't remember which one. One of them had a mask and one of them didn't. And the one that lost his mind was mad because the other one was doing it wrong. And he turned and he like pushed. It was one of those like lunch counter things, or like, you know, like above a like buffet where there's like a glass like thing.
The sneeze guard.
Yeah, he pushed the entire top of like the sneeze guard, and the food was like, I honestly don't know the name of like the thing that he knocked off of the kitchen table, but he just pushed it behind the thing. It was like, ah! And I was just like, whoa. Yeah, people, I can't. It's really actually sad watching humanity go through the like trauma we're dealing with together right now. Like, I'm just watching it and going, whoa. Like, everything is becoming like symbolic of this underlying seething hatred, and it's kind of sad.
I have this friend. She wears a translucent mask. It's just like a mesh. It's totally ineffective, right? She just wears it to, you know.
Dude, that was totally transphobic, Kyle.
What? Translucent?
Translucent.
Yeah, you're saying that translucent mask is ineffective.
Wait, is it translucent or it's just mesh?
It's
I'm
a
saying-
mesh.
Okay.
It's like a thin. It looks.
So she just wears it to abide by the law, but it isn't actually
doing anything. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah, and like you can see her mouth, like it's like just this thin like mesh covering. It looks like a pair of like it looks like a thong or something that you just hook over your ears.
Like,
But,
didn't Alyssa Milano have some sort of like
I was just
crochet
about to say
mask
that,
with
dude.
holes in it or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, she had one that it was crochet. Yeah, exactly, dude.
And then also too, like while we're on Alyssa Milano, did you guys see like she tweeted earlier this week? She was like, what did she say? She was complaining that Joe Rogan.
Rogan?
Yeah.
that Joe Rogan's podcast has like 3 times as many viewers as hers.
Yeah, dude.
It's just like,
I saw that.
Wow, dude. Like how
First of
entitled
all-
do you have to feel?
First of all, he definitely has way more than 3 times.
No,
dude.
no, Jared. First of all, I didn't even know that she had a fucking podcast.
Well, yeah. Well, someone pointed out that maybe this is just like really clever advertising for her podcast. Because now everybody knows that she has a podcast.
Right. Maybe.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
Because there's
dude,
no way she believes that, right? There's no way she believes that.
I doubt that she has 1/3 of the viewers as Rogan.
Dude, no way. If you look up her, I mean, YouTube is only, we don't have many YouTube viewers, but if you use YouTube as your metric, I mean, she has like maybe 1,000, views on her shit. I mean, Rogan's got fucking like 5 million views on like his like least popular podcast episode, It's just, it was just funny to see that. But, I wanted to get back to it's just crazy how people with the mask thing, it's like both ways. It's like people will get so mad if they, on one hand, if they see somebody not wearing a mask, when it's like, okay, is that person being inconsiderate? Maybe. Just fucking don't get near them. Just stay 6 feet away and you're fine. And then on the other hand, it's like if you go into a store and they ask you to wear a mask, then wear the fucking mask or get out. Like
Exactly. It's called property rights.
It's called property rights. Yeah.
That's the thing I don't get. Like I talk to like all these like libertarians, and I'm not saying like all these libertarians. It's not every libertarian I talk to, but there are a number of libertarians I talk to, and they're just bragging to me about like, going into stores and not wearing masks, and then when they're told to put one on, they don't, and it's just like, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Way to respect property rights.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the argument is that like a lot of these are mandated by the government. So is it really the store
Well,
that's saying
I don't know. I mean,
but the store is the one that is deciding to comply and set the policy. So
every story that I've heard has been like an employee from the store telling them to put a mask on.
Right.
It's never been the police were
Cop.
there
Yeah.
and told me to put the mask on, and then I didn't.
Yeah,
Right.
you're not really sticking it to the man. I mean,
Yeah.
you're potentially getting the store in trouble for
And you're making an
you
ass
know,
out of yourself too.
and making an ass out of yourself. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It's a weird hill to
Primarily.
die on, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
very very weird, very kinky.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also putting people at risk who are kind of being forced to choose between being there or not paying their rent.
That's
Yeah,
true.
or
The
people
employees.
that are forced to choose between like being there or starving too.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you guys think the right is more resistant to the masks than the left? Like all my Democrat
Oh, no,
friends are
definitely.
like,
Oh, 100%.
not leave. They like won't leave the house, and like my right leaning friends are way more like, this is bullshit. No masks.
Yeah,
And
I
the second was turned
definitely-
into a bipartisan issue. I mean, that's where a lot of the right started saying, "Well, no, fuck you guys. We're not going to wear masks." Which, come on, we can be anti-mask mandation but still pro fucking masks. It's
Yeah.
Right.
hard.
The funny thing though too, because like I'm somebody who's pretty pro mask, but I'm definitely anti mask mandation. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I will say, in my opinion, the lockdown is way more dangerous than the coronavirus is.
Hmm.
And I don't think so many people like even realize, it's this can be pretty scary.
I heard it's like 60 million people are behind on their rent or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's factually correct, but that's a hell of a lot of people. So running out of money is not good.
Well, I mean, like there's that, and there's like you really can't get a lot of things because a lot of things aren't being produced right now. So it seems like a lot of things like people are just like burning through the stuff that's already made. You know what I mean? So it's like, I work in a music store, and I had to call a company about like special ordering an acoustic guitar, and I was told that it would be available. The ETA is January 2021.
Wow.
Yeah. Now that's the ETA now, but who knows what's going to happen, right? So I mean, this could be way worse than that.
I did hear there's a pot surplus. You guys hear that?
Like a marijuana surplus.
Yeah, California's like apparently overflowing with marijuana. I don't know. I was just
Nice.
watching a story about it right before the show here.
Nice. COVID 420. Okay, so far that's the name, unless we think of something better. COVID 420 is going to be.
Well, why
Is
would
it
there be
COVID
a-
420?
where is
Yeah.
that-
Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
I was just curious, where would there be a surplus coming from? How's that happening?
I'm not entirely sure. The story was talking about how they still have a huge black market in California. Because they've made the taxes so high that it's still profitable to produce and sell illegally.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's because everyone's out of a job, so they've started like growing marijuana in their house.
I don't know. But they said
mean,
a
that's
lot
what
of
I
this
would do.
stuff is being shipped to the east where pot's still illegal. So it's like, I guess, very profitable to manufacture. But I don't know. It was a documentary, like a 60 Minutes show or something like that. They were talking about all the illegal pot farms, and the cops are like, if we bust a pot farm that's unpermitted, we can never get a conviction. But we can get a conviction if they're stealing water from a stream or if they're using illegal grow chemicals or something like that. He's like, we always have to like come up with something other than the pot to get them convicted.
Oh man,
I'm
it's just garbage,
I know. I'm watching.
But you just don't convict
I'm
them.
watching this
Yeah.
show just smack in my face. Like, this is so stupid. Like, if you're gonna make it legal, you have to make it legal. Like,
Kyle, you know what would probably would have made you feel better? You could have just came over to my house and just ground up some weed for me.
I'm sure that would have helped. But
I'm sure that
yeah, it's so annoying, you know. They can't just be like, oh, it's actually legal and you can produce it. It has to be so regulated and so taxed, and you need permits and all this other stuff that they make it so difficult. And then they're like, well, it's not working. It's not raising as, you know, there's still a black market. We don't know why.
Because we
Like,
don't understand
just
basic
stupid.
economics.
Anyway,
Yeah. So, there's new news.
Nude news?
New news in the Garrett Foster.
Yeah, with the
With
the
Garrett
guy who
Foster.
shot him with Daniel Perry's the guy's name. He come out that he's an army sergeant, and kind of going through some of his like old tweets and that type of shit. There's something to be said about like premeditation, because he's talking about how we really wish that the protests come to now I'm blanking on
Austin.
Yeah, really wish that the protests come to Austin, and we'll kind of show them what's what type deal. And like, there's other footage that's also been surfacing in terms of him running a red light, pulling into the giant crowd, and I believe that the streets were also closed off. And he knew what the fuck he was doing, but just recently came out with his lawyer saying that he was acting in self-defense and he was afraid for his life. Yeah, you're afraid for your life when you jumped out of your car, shot him 5 times against
wait,
someone
did he
who's
exit his
low
car?
ready. Yeah, he got partially out of his car to shoot Garrett Foster.
Okay.
Wow.
I
didn't know
that's
that.
new to me. Yeah, I kind of was getting, first of all, from Foster, I got a cowboy vibe. I was like, this guy, you know, he's walking around with that AK, probably looking for a reason to use it. And he gave an interview
What? Dude,
apparently.
it sounds like you're victim blaming, Kyle.
Well, hold on. Let me tell you, I'm totally neutral on these cases. I try
Doesn't
to
sound
just
like it to me.
I just try to take in the facts and figure out what happened, you know. But then I was reading about the shooter, and I'm like, yeah, there's a good chance that guy went there looking for an opportunity to shoot a protester, and he found his opportunity. So it very well could have been premeditated, you know. I mean, he had
That's
obviously
interesting,
had
though.
a gun ready, right? He had a gun, so he might have been going there looking
Having
for
a gun,
trouble.
I mean, what does that prove? I mean,
You're
what
right.
he
You're
was
right.
interested in defending himself. So I'm just saying you're using like some bullshit talking points.
And on top
I mean,
of
I don't
that,
think the
open carry
presence of the
was legal.
Gun control logic.
All right. Okay. Well,
Right.
it is also Texas, and I have to factor that in, where a lot more people have guns, whereas
Yeah.
it's pretty rare for people in Maryland to be driving around with guns. I think. I mean, I could be wrong, but
Well, it depends on where you're at, dude.
yeah. So, all right. I
Yeah.
guess that's not a red flag there. But given that with his tweets and everything, it kind of seems like he might have gone there looking to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the rhetoric around like when people block streets, they deserve to get hit. And we've been seeing, I mean, obviously nothing to the scale other than like the Heather Heyer thing that happened at Charlottesville, but we have seen people accelerating slowly to push through crowds. And especially like verbally, like the speech around this issue has been escalating. And so, I mean, I feel like for me, when I heard what happened, I thought like, you know, it was only a matter of time before somebody acted out on the way that rhetoric has been, you know, sort of growing in the sense of urgency that people are frustrated by having streets blocked and, you know, people deserve to die. And then after it happened, all of those same arguments have been the ones that came out, you know, who had the right of way and, you know, they surrounded his car and like this, the word mob is the new thug, you know what I mean? Calling them a mob is the way that you demonize people who are freely associating around a topic that you don't agree with, you know.
Orwellian vocabulary there.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's my take on it. It's just a really unfortunate, almost like sign of the times. Like, I don't mean to make it be dismissive either, actually, because honestly, like the most disturbing thing about the whole thing to me was watching the way it unfolded in libertarian spaces, because that was one of our own members. So to watch what happened to him be torn into this sort of polarized narrative about, oh, was he in allegiance with Marxists or did he deserve to die? And hearing sort of narratives that are more you would hear out of liberals about like a school shooting being applied to, you know, a libertarian marching against police brutality. I'm going to stop talking. You get my
no. I mean, dude, you're making some great
Yeah.
points, man. There was a lot of bootlicking going on.
Yeah, the whole guilt by association thing was one that got me just very confusing to me. I don't understand how that's a thing. I mean, it's not like, I mean, yeah, if the guy was out there, like, I don't know, doing something like killing people or something, or was with people that were killing people, then yeah, fine. But like, he's
Okay,
out there.
Here's a hot take though. Like if you're blocking a road, couldn't you be killing somebody? Like for instance, if like way driving to the hospital.
Well, so they apparently, from what I heard, and you can correct me, Dan, because you know a little bit more, but I believe they had a permit. Not that, you know, as an anarchist, I care about permits, but like,
well, you just brought the permit, dude.
But if they had a permit
for Kyle, how much did Kyle pay you to say that?
No, but I mean, if they had a permit, then obviously there was some planning by, I would hope, by the city to arrange like
road closings, yeah,
routes for like, you know, hospital or for ambulances and shit. So it's not like they just like blocked fucking I-95. You know, I don't know what road they were on, but it was, you know, it was planned. It wasn't just like a spontaneous gathering. But
yeah, I get a lot of BLM is a Marxist organization. I've had that debate a number of times on Facebook, and you know, they're like, well, the founder is they claim to be a trained Marxist or something like that. And that's supposed to indict the entire organization and all the people that are actually supporting. I'm like, I bet you most of these people don't know who the founder is and don't care what her political leanings are. They just care about the slogan, you know, Black Lives Matter is just it's a sort of obvious, everyone should agree slogan.
But see, the retort that I keep,
there's a different thing between like there's like the movement and then there's like the organization, right?
Yeah.
You go to the organization's website, you can check out their like bullet points for 2020, and I think like 9 out of 10 have nothing to do with cops killing people. You know, it was a lot of like socialist leftist stuff.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
I mean,
I still don't.
That's the organization, and that's not everybody in the organization. But that's what the organization's putting out there.
How about a UBI? Do they support that?
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
but
I'm not sure.
We did this. I mean, we did this a while back when the Black Lives Matter first came around on one of our earlier podcasts. We sort of went through the platform and we're like, what the fuck is this? But you know, the reality is like, yeah, like you said, most of the people that are involved in this have never even like seen this website. You know, they've never read this list of stuff.
Yeah, that's the movement.
Right. And people will say, well, they're being useful idiots for these Marxists that are really in control. And it's like, I mean, are they really in control? Like,
no.
I mean, like I don't see it. I don't see how they're in control. I don't see how.
And I heard it's George Soros who's paying them all off. You know? I mean,
it's like, okay. I mean, I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see how it's this big Marxist like conspiracy. It's like.
I don't either, and I don't think Garrett Foster was a Marxist or a Marxist sympathizer or anything like that. And and to use that and say that, well, he was. If he wasn't, you know, he knew about it, knew about their background, and he was out there marching. So screw him. He deserved to die. I mean, it's such a terrible it's a bad take, you know. So I was really looking at the fine details of what happened at the time of shooting. Where was that gun? Was the gun pointed at the driver?
It was in the low ready.
It was in low ready, and I you know, you could see the gun up on his shoulder. And I guess it was pointed downward, but I mean, you're talking about just a few inches away from being pointed at him. I'm like, jury might be like, that's, you know, looks like he's threatening at that point, or he's about to threaten to shoot. And I could, if you were trying to convince me, I was afraid for my life because my car was surrounded, and I see this guy with a gun braced against his shoulder. I thought he was going to shoot me. You know, you might get away with a self-defense claim on that one. I don't know.
But if you're afraid for your life, you don't extend your weapon. You don't roll down your window or open the door, whatever he did, and stick it out to where anybody in that mob could just grab it and turn it back on you. Like, that is not a defensive posture, is my point. If you have a window between you and the people, then you already, of course, that's not going to stop a bullet, right? But you don't roll down the window and expose yourself to that threat by like sticking your arm out, is what I'm saying. That is that's a weak posture. Anyone can grab your gun, is my point. So I don't know what the jury would think, but that's what I would tell the jury.
Yeah. We have seen videos of drivers being ripped out of their cars and beaten and stuff. So bad things have happened, but I don't understand.
But you're forgetting you're leaving out the part where he drove into the crowd.
I know.
I mean, that to me is like the first aggression.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then maybe they approach his car with the gun because they fear for their lives, because they're concerned like this guy's going to fucking, just stomp on the gas pedal. So maybe like I've got to defend myself.
Yeah. This is another Heather Heyer situation, right? That's probably what Garrett Foster was thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah. What's that?
That's what I would have been thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, Garrett was also,
in my mind, that would be the initial act of aggression within the context of like the nap or whatever.
And then so Garrett had some, and I haven't seen this personally, so I'm paraphrasing a second-hand paraphrase. But he had done a video or a Facebook post or something where he was saying that, he'd been out at these protests with his girlfriend, and, keep in mind, he's basically her caretaker, they're partners or whatever. And he is there to stand up for the fact that his partner's life matters. And oh, by the way, she happens to be in a wheelchair. She doesn't have arms or legs. And people are being fucking shitty to them. And he's aware of this. So he's been carrying his weapon because he's seeing that they're surrounded by a volatile situation that is unpredictable. And, him being there to push the wheelchair might not be enough. He may also have to defend them. So he's got his rifle there for that reason. And then this car shows up doing, Heather Heyer weird stuff. If I was there in that headspace, if that's the headspace that I'm in, I'm going to immediately go into low ready, and I'm going to, see what's up. I'm going to step forward. I'm here. That's why I'm here. And that's what he did. And we know what happened next.
Was she a quadruple amputee or a paraplegic? What was her?
I thought she was just paraplegic. Was she actually missing her limbs or just?
I thought she was missing like 3 limbs. I thought it was like a triangle.
I don't want to laugh, but
no, I mean, was it quadruple?
I don't know. I really don't know.
I'm curious.
I also heard it was quad amputee as well.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know how you
quadriplegic, but
I don't know
whatever.
how you could
Same
how
difference.
people live. I all the power to her. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
That's
what was tripping me out is that in those videos, and you can hear her like screaming.
Oh God.
Sitting there just like.
Yeah, that's her fiance, right?
Yep. Caretaker for 10 years.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. I don't know how you like watch that video and then go into like, oh, well, he deserved it, or like these people are all Marxists, or I don't know.
I watched the video and was like, I couldn't tell what the heck happened. The camera was shaking around, everything was blurry. I heard some pops, and that was it. So maybe there's better video that's come out since the one I saw, but the one I saw was completely impossible to tell what happened.
There's a slowed down version, and there's a second version showing the like backside of the engagement where you can kind of see the back of the car.
I got to check that one out. My first impression was I couldn't see anything, but anyway, it's a horrible story, and it's been very divisive for libertarians too because of the BLM angle.
Yeah, I feel like if it had been something else, like I don't know, a fucking like Second Amendment march or something, or protest, you wouldn't have this. I mean, it might not have even happened in the first place, but like, I don't know, if it was something more like, I don't know, anti-war march, right? And there was no association with BLM at all. you would not have this reaction from libertarians. They'd be like, "Oh, this fucking bootlicker showed up and he."
No, hold on. I say it's divisive for libertarians. It's been divisive because there's a lot of quote unquote libertarians who are very right leaning, arguably not even really libertarians.
Well, sure,
they support Trump. They're so far right that they're, arguably not libertarians anymore. So those are the kind of people I've been arguing with.
Yeah, I mean, most of the libertarians that that I count as like real libertarians, TM, have been pretty much in agreement that this is fucked up. But yeah, I mean, there's the very right-leaning, like Hoppian style libertarians that are, or whatever you want to call them, that are, just saying, like you said, he deserves it because I guess
use their proper term. It's bootlicker.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Did you guys see that meme with the guy in the tank in China from whenever it was Tiananmen Square, the guy that blocks the tank, and then it has like an idiot below that, and the guy's like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes, get out of the road, stuff like that.
Yeah, get out of the road. Stop blocking the road.
It's a meme that's mocking the people that are saying those kinds of things.
Right.
But it's a really funny meme.
Yeah.
So, guys, what's going on with Ellen DeGeneres?
Well, there are accusations of sexual misconduct. So I'm reading from NPR right now. The Ellen DeGeneres Show is facing a new round of serious allegations, this time of sexual harassment and misconduct against 3 of the daily talk show's executive producers, as well as other forms of workplace misconduct. The allegations come from 36 former Ellen DeGeneres employees.
Wow.
Damn, who would have thought, man? The fucking dancing lady. Her staff is just raping behind the scenes.
I've heard that they said it's a hostile work environment and all that kind of stuff. And, Ellen's image is a wholesome image, right? For the most part. So, but she's been under a lot of fire lately I thought it was something else too, besides this workplace thing.
Yeah, this came out after she had already apologized for having basically just like being a tyrant, in the workplace, just being like a nasty person to her employees.
Yeah.
But this kind of, I mean, it's not as bad, obviously, because it's not as bad, but like it kind of has shades of Bill Cosby, where Bill Cosby was this like wholesome, like family guy, blah, blah, blah. Behind the scenes, he's like fucking raping chicks. Now she's not doing anything that bad, but
you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Mickey Mouse on South Park, right?
Okay, so
South Park Mickey.
So was
come over there and make me more motherfucking money.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's it.
Okay, so were any of the allegations against Ellen herself, or was it just
not
other
the
people?
sexual harassment ones?
Yeah. So,
But
it's kinda, I don't know. It seems like it's kind of unfair because it's like everybody's just piling everything directly onto Ellen, and if she had nothing to do with that, I mean. In any office across America, there's bound to be a little bit of sexual harassment going on, and it's not like it's Ellen DeGeneres' fault. I don't know.
Well,
yeah. I mean, she's not directly. Go ahead. I think you're gonna say what I'm gonna say, but go ahead, Mike.
No, you can go first. I was going to make an anti-capitalist point that
if I wasn't going to do that,
because they're taking all the risks and they're the smart one. That then why is it suddenly a sort of cooperative vibe when they don't want to take responsibility? I'm not making, I don't know whether she's really like, she knew and she turned a blind eye or whatever, I don't really know. Like, I actually think I agree with you, Matt. In the real world, single human beings can't make all the decisions and have all the information. I mean, that's just the knowledge problem, right? That we hear about from the Austrians. So I agree with you, Matt. I'm just saying that logic actually undermines the idea that a single owner can plausibly claim to like hold ownership. So I made a random point that wasn't about Ellen.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was just
Ellen, to be honest, because I'm going to keep talking. Ellen, does not speak for me as a queer person, and I've been annoyed with it for a long time. So, and this happened back. I'm going to open up now. Speaking of Nick Sarwark and how much everyone hates him. Oh, which we weren't. But there was this time where she got photographed like throwing a football at a football game with George W. Bush or at a baseball game or something. And Sarwark went on his page and was lecturing us all about kindness because she made a point about kindness. They had questioned her, why are you going on TV with a war criminal? And she was like, oh, we have to be kind. And all of the liberals were out running around being like, oh yeah, be kind to war criminals. And this has nothing to do with the sexual allegations or anything, but just a systemic kind of where we make glib surface like just like fluff towards kindness and and then shame everybody into like going along with that. Oh, Ellen is the model like lesbian. She came out in the 90s and like, how can you hate her? And her show is so great.
Well, did you see the memes after that where they like photoshopped her at like Abu Ghraib?
Yeah, I did.
Like with the fucking like guy that's like hung up, the famous picture of the guy, and she's just like sitting there like pointing at him.
Yeah. So like, honestly, I don't want to hear the excuses. Actually, your name is on the show. You are pocketing the money. You are taking the cash, and your fucking staff. Am I allowed to cuss on this show?
Of course.
Of course, dude.
Your staff was like fucking shit up, and now you're acting like you don't know what was going on, and like, oh, we're gonna change things. No, sorry. How many people? 62 people? No. Oh, that's how old
36.
36.
She's 62 years old. Bless her heart. 36 years old. 36 people had to come out and like, that's scary, right? You're going against this big person in your industry. You may never work again. They've been living with that fear and like they had to, who knows? Like, how did they even organize that? Like, we were like whispering to each other in the back room. Hey, did she ever touch you or whatever? You know what I mean? Like that kind of like having to live with that pain and trauma and figure out and try to like, I don't know what really happened to them or how painful or traumatic it was, but obviously it was disturbing enough for them to write this letter. And Ellen needs to own that is my point. She doesn't get to go on TV and talk about being kind. I'm not hearing it.
Yeah, I mean, if she is at least partially responsible, just because, yes, like you said, her name is on the show. I mean, if she was definitely aware of it, if they could prove that she was aware of it, then, I mean, she's even more culpable in that sense, right? I mean, that's how, that's what happened to like Joe Paterno with the Penn State thing when there was that his assistant coach or whatever was like molesting like a whole bunch of kids, and he ended up getting in trouble for it. And, his statue torn down, all the shit, because while he wasn't the one doing it, he was in charge of the organization and he may have looked the other way while it happened. So, yeah.
I'm not going to watch the Ellen show until this is all resolved.
Kyle is boycotting the Ellen show.
Boycotting.
So is the Ellen show canceled at this point? I thought it was canceled.
It's not canceled yet.
Oh, yet, you say.
Not yet.
Who else was Kimmel? Kimmel was in trouble for something.
Isn't Kimmel canceled?
I don't know.
So,
I thought he was taking a hiatus or something. I can't keep track of all these scandals for all these shows I don't even watch.
Yeah.
Regis Philbin died. I heard that. We didn't talk about that.
Oh yeah.
But
I think that was like last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think we did mention that a little bit. But
all right.
Anyway, yeah, not on this episode, of course. But also this week we're hearing now. So somebody came out and testified that Bill Clinton went to Epstein's Island with 2 underage girls.
Who testified this?
Was it Mia Guthrie?
Guthrie.
I think so. Let me see.
Oh, the Giffrey or whatever.
Or she hasn't been suicided yet.
No, hold on. Let me get back to where this is. Sorry. Thought I had.
Because we already knew his name was on the flight logs, right?
Yeah. I did,
like that's already been
for a while
proven. Yeah. But now we have evidence, or not evidence, but we have testimony that he was going with some young underage chicks.
I'm pulling it up right now. Virginia Guthrie says, yeah.
Yeah, you were close.
Yeah.
He said he didn't do it. That's all I know.
I did not have.
Yeah,
Sexual
Depends on what you're,
relations with those
yeah.
girls.
yeah. He also
Yeah,
didn't.
sure he
yeah,
didn't, Bill.
He didn't do anything with Monica Lewinsky. He also did not inhale.
He didn't do a lot of things, but he sure ends up in the news quite a bit for him.
Yeah, I got a friend that's like obsessed with all this this Hollywood celebrity pedophile ring with like the Wayfair stuff and all of it. She's
Oh,
super into
is he a
it.
Q guy?
I don't know. What's a Q guy?
Like QAnon?
No, it's a girl. She's just into the stories. She's always reading conspiracies about the satanic pedophile ring or whatever.
Sounds like a QAnon. Yeah, sounds like one of them.
I don't know. I don't know what to believe. You know, it's the internet, right? There's a million conspiracy theories out there, and there's probably half of them are true. But
yeah,
I'm like, all right.
I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to think that wealthy, powerful people have access to services that, and I use that term loosely, services, that ordinary people would be prosecuted, rightfully so in this case, for. So I feel like it's another one of those things where like polarizing the issue is making it difficult to actually sort of properly get to what's going on behind the surface, right? Because if you're thinking that it's a choice between this is a complete conspiracy or it's all true, and neither of those may be really the case. What's really going on is maybe, okay, there's a bunch of smoke, so there's probably some fire, but it's probably not a satanic cult operating out of a pizza basement, you know, secret Britney Spears videos or whatever. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
I think it would be good to know for sure what was going on, but
Well, it's interesting. Epstein was a billionaire, right? But when you watch the documentary, most of the girls he's offering them $200 was like the going for a massage. You know, tell your friends, get as many friends as you can. I'll give them $200. That was sort of his going.
That's the going
price.
rate.
So
he
it's
was a
quite
cheapskate.
yeah, it's quite a step up to the pedophile island. You know, where he's actually got, I guess, captured these women or whatever. You know, I'm sure it happened. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it's just a weird jump to me from getting your middle school friends $200 to the pedophile island. So, and how widespread? Like, I don't know, man. It's got to be way more widespread. I thought pedophilia was more of a fringe, weird perversion. You know, like, are there really like buddies that do this together? Like, bro. You know?
no, not to go into a weird headspace with it, but just like it's not that difficult to imagine people with wealth and power being able to access services that the rest of us don't get. That came out weird too, but it's not hard to imagine something that has the allure of being scarce, like a scarce resource that only we can access, becoming a kind of status symbol in itself, right? Yeah. And so in a society where there's a lot of sex negativity, a lot of us living with childhood traumas that are unresolved in different ways, and just sexuality in general is distorted into something almost out of proportion with what it really needs to be, which should be something healthy and consent-based and much more sort of positive, right? We're not there as a society. We have a lot of people living with like repressed desires and everything else. So my point is, for me, it's just not hard to believe that there's a scarce resource of underage people, and there are people who buy it just because they can.
Right.
Just because their friends do.
So it's like a Cuban cigar.
I mean, do you think that it's a mental disorder or something of that nature, Shipley?
Well, yeah. Well,
so we can. Not that I do not want to come off as an apologist or anything of that nature for any of this shit. I believe all of them should go to a wood chipper. But
sure, dude, we believe you.
We have to keep in mind that, like, you know, sex dolls of children were outlawed, and it would be a viable alternative.
Oh yeah, no, I'm on board with that. Like I do think, you know,
But I think what you're saying, hold on, if I could interject though, I think what you're saying, Mike, is that these people aren't necessarily, they're not necessarily pedophiles in the sense where that's what they're like always attracted to.
right.
But in this case, there is the sort of psychopathy of being this like super wealthy, super powerful person that can get whatever he wants. And then you find out, oh, I can actually get this thing that is illegal that I would go to jail for on this private island. So that's like, getting that dopamine hit that you haven't been able to get because you've got everything you could ever possibly want,
Right, because sexuality and power are more inextricably linked than we talk about.
Right, sure.
And if there's a power dynamic to being able to get something that is forbidden to almost everyone else,
right,
then that aspect of the kink, if you will, can come out.
Right.
I thought a lot of those guys were into being subs. Right?
Did they come to your dungeon frequently, Kyle?
No, look, like it's
what is a sub? I don't know what this is. Tell me, Kyle.
Like sub dom?
Submissive, right? So like because these are rich and powerful men that are always in charge, it's pleasurable to them to be on the opposite end of things and be submissive to a dominatrix. So they say that a lot of men that employ dominatrixes are actually power men in their regular life. So they like the opposite of that sexually.
I've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think the sub argument can really come in when it comes to children.
No, for sure.
I think that's a different itch they're scratching.
I think I agree with Mike's analysis. It makes sense to me that this is like the rarity. That's why I said the Cuban cigar. It's illegal. It's like, hey, I got something,
And it's not even that great, right? I
That's,
mean, I've heard Cuban cigars aren't even that. They're not like that much better than like a fucking Portuguese cigar or whatever. Or not Portuguese, but you get what I'm saying.
Hard to get, illegal for everybody else. It makes sense. That's a possibility. I mean, I think I don't think that was Epstein's motivation. I think he was actually just a real pedophile, But for some of the
Wasn't he
other
also
ones,
just trying to blackmail people too?
maybe. The guy was like a total scumbag. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I'm certainly not trying to defend Epstein.
Yeah, might have been.
Yeah. All right. I think we got time for one more topic there, Matt.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so Donald Trump has now suggested to delay the election.
And what's his reasoning for that?
Well, I mean, he's just talking like with mail-in voting, there'll probably be a lot of voter fraud. It'll probably be pretty crazy, right?
Maybe.
I don't mean, doesn't that like freak you out at all? I mean, about
I don't see how mail-in voter fraud is any more reliable or unreliable than like just fucking going to machines that like one company called Acorn controls. Like wasn't that the whole conspiracy back then? Like back in like 2008 or whatever.
Well, it certainly doesn't sound like there's going to be less apt for voter fraud, to me.
I mean,
I don't know.
I just don't understand why I can deposit a check with my phone, but I can't securely vote online even.
Because it's the government versus the private sector.
Okay, there's that, but like, why do we even let them say that out loud? Like that, the idea that we can't vote by mail, that's somehow more prone to fraud than.
Yeah, like we couldn't vote on the blockchain.
Right, like that should be like, good one. Yeah, send me my mail-in ballot. I'm gonna fucking vote.
In-person voting is gonna be a nightmare if we do this. I mean, they're gonna have the 6 feet markers, and they're gonna have everybody wearing masks.
We've already started doing early voting for that shit.
Really?
From what I heard. Yeah.
I mean, that would be a good idea. Have early, extend the voting time frame.
Yeah,
like stagger it out, right?
You could have
like
2 weeks instead of 1 week, something
like
that.
I was actually talking about this the other day with my wife, and I was saying it would probably be easier to do it right now because of COVID, since like the schools are closed, right? And most people vote at public schools. So, you could just spread the voting apart, say
Mhm.
like people with, if your name begins with like these letters show up on this day, yada, 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 you can
Yeah.
spread it apart.
Yeah, I don't see any reason to postpone it. He probably just wants to stay in office longer.
Well, that's what that's what the left is saying, that he wants to stay in office forever.
Yeah, I mean, could be.
from
He's
a
waiting
little bit
for
that
Ruth Bader Ginsburg to die.
Yeah.
it sounds like from what the right was kind of also explaining was it was a little bit of a joke to quote own the libs, more or less, for after all, like the mask mandation, everything of that nature, where I kind of lost the point. I apologize, guys.
Somebody
No,
made
no,
a-
I saw that too. It was like the fact that the left supposedly, or the liberals, were in favor of all the restrictions, and now he's saying, well, because of these restrictions that you guys want, I don't think it's safe to vote in the polls, and I don't think it's reliable to have mail-in voting. But I don't know, like, people, this is another like 4D chess move that people are attributing to Trump. I think he's just jumping on the voter fraud bandwagon that the Republicans have always been pushing, and saying, well, this is going to be even more, so let's postpone it. I don't think it's like owning the libs with their own, whatever.
Yeah.
But whatever.
I mean, and if it was, that's actually it's kind of worse because it's such a serious topic. The idea that the president of the United States would use his platform to make people think either A, that a dictator is about to seize power, or that their votes are so potentially like prone to fraud that like why even cast one? I mean, what an irresponsible use of your voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it isn't something you would expect to hear from a president, for sure.
Wait,
Something
Chipley,
are
you saying that you expect Trump to be responsible with his voice, though? I mean,
I know.
Yes, I do. Listen, okay, what counts as having a platform in the Libertarian Party is almost laughably tiny. But even with that said, as people who have a platform, I don't know about you all, but like, I think about that. I think about being careful about the way I use my voice. On a tiny little platform, I just passed 4,000 with my page. Yay, that's considered like not huge. And you know what I mean? In libertarian terms, and here's my point. How much more should someone who's president of the fucking free world with how many million voters does he not like think to himself about using that responsibly? Like, yes, I do, because I know how that feels when you say something flippant and you see other people act on it. It makes you step back and go, whoa, I need to be careful. And if I can feel that and it wasn't even like, I've been feeling that way for a while. Like, you notice when you say things and a lot of people are listening and their behavior changes, you do feel that. And so, yes, I know you were just joking. So I did another classic Mikester where I took a really casual.
Mike Shipley's page only has 4,000 followers. So sad.
I know.
Nowhere near the greatest.
No, like you get my point though, right? Like, yes, I do expect Donald Trump.
I mean, yeah, in principle, he should be responsible, but historically speaking, we know that's not going to be the case in any sense. So
let's try to squeeze this TikTok topic all in, because it kind of goes in line with what Trump is doing. He's trying to ban TikTok, which is an app I don't use. I don't. It's like but I guess China is using it to steal everyone's personal information. Is that what the problem with it is?
It's a Chinese company, and there's the Chinese government surveilling it. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if Zoom also goes, because I believe Zoom is also a Chinese-owned corporation.
Oh wow!
There's a good chance that everything that we say and do on Zoom is also being surveilled.
All right, good to know. I did. Does anybody read those agreements when they click I agree? It probably tells you in there.
It's gonna turn into a South Park episode with the human centipede.
Well, from what I understand, though, TikTok does have a U.S. base, right? I mean, yes, the parent company is owned by probably the CCP, to some degree, but there is a there is a, I believe there's a United States entity, and also Microsoft is currently in talks to buy the U.S. subsidiary of TikTok.
Oh,
yes, and so now that's kind of like on the back burner because they don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
mm-hmm.
I don't even know if Trump has the legal authority to do something like that. I mean, to just outright ban a company, like what is the? I mean, sure, he can do an executive order, but is that going to, what's the Supreme Court going to say? How's that going to go? I don't know, but I mean, it's like, okay, how hypocritical, like look at the fucking NSA, look at the FBI, CIA. They're all fucking.
There's a lot of good memes coming out about that.
I mean, it's just like,
they're spying.
Dude, I would rather the CCP be spying on me because, like, what the fuck are they going to do to me? Right? They can't send like their fucking police to my door. They can't send their, intelligence organizations to my door.
And a problem with spying that I think of is like just volume, right? How do you pick out of all of the 9-year-old girls dancing to Britney Spears? How do you pick out something that's actually relevant and worth spying on? Even this podcast, is not worth spying on. There's,
well, it's already out there in the open.
Yeah,
we have it on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, you got us.
Well, look, hey, if the U.S. government and they're, if you work for the DoD and they say, well, you're not allowed to have TikTok on your phone, I can get that. I can understand why that might be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, if they're spying on a bunch of fucking like teenagers and just mining data so they can sell them like advertisements for fucking, dresses and shit, like who gives a fuck? That's what we're doing. That's what Facebook does. Like, I don't see how this is a national security threat.
Yeah,
I mean, it could be
much
something
cooler
similar
than the NSA, right?
It could
What's
be something similar to the CCP's social credits. I mean, if there was anything like that enacted, even in partial via like private companies, I mean, it could be a little bit alarming.
But how would that happen? What do you mean? Like, how would them doing that? Like, how would that affect the United States?
I mean, if let's say they were regulating flights based off of the social credits from what they've surveilled, and therefore, U.S. citizens wouldn't be able to travel to China. Don't know why necessarily they would, unless it was for business, but still, like,
yes, but
and we sure in the short term, it's not posing much of a threat for us. In the longer term, who's to say what happens 50 years from now? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think of the theory where he's just butthurt because TikTok trolled his big rally?
That's probably more likely.
Is that plausible that a president would be that petty?
Yes.
Yes.
This president?
Of course, man.
I mean, yeah, but that petty?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good theory. I didn't think about the the government employees possibly. If this software can get on your phone and actually record things when you're not using the app, which I think the Facebook app does actually, but an audio surveillance kind of thing, that could potentially be a security threat. So I could see that.
Sure. So yeah, then you restrict your employees from doing that, and you punish them if they do that. But like,
yeah,
why should that affect me? Not that I'm on fucking TikTok, but in theory.
I had to do a job at the Bureau of Printing and Engraving where they create currency, and I couldn't have I don't think I was allowed to have my cell phone. I know I had a flip phone, but it had a camera, and it was not allowed in the facility because they don't want the money printing process to be photographed and shared.
Oh, yeah, you can't have your phone at the NSA either. I know that for a fact. I know people that work for them.
Hey guys, sorry, we're out of time here, so we're going to take things over to the After Hours program. This podcast is brought to you in part by Conversations About Freedom podcast, hosted by Moral Bob. We have t-shirts over at libertariancountry.com. If you put in the code PRL or the code PRL podcast, you'll receive a 10% discount. If you spend $50 or more and you use the code PRL2, you'll receive a 20% discount. Until next time, live free
or die.